Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on conservative talk radio. Glad to have you in the conversation today. Michelle, as you're aware, staying behind in Hawaii, President Obama, it's now been revealed, has played golf 160 times since he became president of the United States. That's one round of golf for every 11 days at work. So those of you that are out there, you like to play golf, I ask you, how often have you been able to get out? Are you able on your job to get out and play golf once every 11 days? Well, President Obama has. Michelle's staying apparently at Oprah's compound in Hawaii, staying over for an extra few days. President Obama saying to Michelle, look, why don't you carry on without me for a few days? And which case the entire United States of America says we should be so lucky. So at any rate, Barack Obama's back in D.C. after the 17-day vacation. Parents are going to cost you and me another $200,000 for Michelle Obama's extra stay there in the Hawaiian Islands. That's going to be the meal ticket for the taxpayers. In fact, Rob, let's grab clip number 1 because this came up. Ed Henry of Fox News had this question for Jay Carney about this extended stay of Michelle Obama in Hawaii. Let's listen.
Continue to work on that.
First Lady stayed behind in Hawaii, and the White House said that that was an early birthday present from the president. Does that mean he's paying for the flight back, or taxpayers?
As with all personal travel, the First Family will appropriately fund personal expenses, Ed, and in line with travel of past presidents and First Ladies, the First Lady will travel via a government aircraft. But you're accurate in your description that this was her decision to remain, actually the president's suggestion in Hawaii to spend time with friends ahead of her upcoming very big birthday. And, you know, if you have kids, you know that telling your spouse that they can go spend a week away from home is actually a big present. So not that we don't love our kids.
So Ed Henry says, okay, this is a present from President Obama to his wife. Now, I don't know about you. I buy gifts for Debbie every Christmas. And I don't use your money to buy gifts for my wife. I use my own money. So this is a good question. Ed Henry says, look, President Obama has made a big deal out of this. This is part of his Christmas present, his Christmas gift to his wife, this extra day fun in the sun in Hawaii. Is he going to pay for it? If it's a present from him to his wife, is he going to pay for it? And Jay Carney says, heck no. She's going to fly on government-funded, taxpayer-funded aircraft to the tune of $200,000. Now, $200,000. So President Obama is a several $million vacation when you add everything up with the cost of Secret Service and accommodations and the flights to run Air Force One and the limos and all that stuff. It's several $1 million for 17 days in Hawaii. And I want to contrast this with President Obama. I think Jeff was the one that, Jeff Reed, my producer, made sure I got this link. Contrast this with President Bush. That's where I want to draw the contrast. You know, President Obama flies off to Hawaii. It seems like every Christmas. I don't know how often it is, but it seems like every Christmas he's off to Hawaii for this for the snorkeling and the body surfing and the whole bit. And you know, his whole retinue's got to go with him. He's got to have Secret Service protection, and he's got to have valets, and he's got to have a body man. He's got to have all kind of stuff on this trip to Hawaii. Now, this is a piece by Joseph Curl on the Washington Times. He says this, he's a journalist, writes an opinion pieces for the Washington Times. I started covering the newly elected president in 2000 when I was in my 30s. Back then, as a reporter for the Washington Times, we went everywhere the president went. If he went to Charlotte, North Carolina, to give a 30-minute speech on an airport tarmac, we went. Up at 4 a.m., an hour-long commute to Andrews Air Force Base, in place on the ground hours before the president landed, and there for hours and hours after he left, sometimes right through the evening news so network reporters could file live from the site. We also went with the president to Texas every summer, often for a month, and every winter, too, over the holidays. But here's the thing. In December, Joseph Curl writes, we never left Washington, D.C. until the day after Christmas. Never Mr. Bush and his wife Laura would always depart the White House a few days before the holiday and hunker down at the presidential retreat in Maryland, Camp David. After a few years, I asked a low-level White House staffer why. I still remember what she said, so all of us can be with our families on Christmas. Who was us? Hundreds and hundreds of people, that's who. Sure, the reporters who covered the president, but also dozens and dozens on his staff, 100 Secret Service agents, maybe more, and all of those cops required whenever the president's on the move in D.C. And he says this, for me, that one-day delay was huge. My kids were 6 and 8 when Bush took office. When he went home to Prairie Chapel that last time in 2009, my girl was driving. The boy was 6'1". But in the meantime, I was home for 8 Christmas mornings playing Santa, stoking the fire, mixing up hot chocolates. That was President Bush. Guess an appropriate response at this point, miss me yet? I know for one that I certainly do. But that just gives you kind of a window of insight into President Bush. You know, he never made a big deal of that. I didn't even know about this, that he did this for 8 years until I got this story. But that just gives you a peek into his character. He wanted the people who protected him and who served him to be able to have Christmas with their families, not be occupied in some kind of far-flung place away from their homes and away from their families. So that is who President Bush was. Now, let's see what I want to talk about next. Let's get into the and Jeff or Rob, if we can start a new segment here.